Hi, I'm Rod Steinhoffel. I'm the owner of Longacre Olive and Vineyard Estate, and this is going to be a record of harvesting and processing taken through the 2020 coronavirus lockdown period. We're on day 12 of a 21-day lockdown, and it's April 2020. Um, Behind me uh, is my Frantoio block that I probably won't be able to harvest because I'm trying to get in all the table olives this season. I've given up on getting the olives to the press. I managed to get about 600 kilograms to a press in Darling, and that's where we are right now. I grow mainly Frantoio, Mission and Manzanilla, and there are a few calamatas, but they don't do well in this sort of climate here in the west coast um, area. So I'm located in Longacre Estate. It's in Longabon. It's about 140 kilometers north of Cape Town. So as you can see, I have planted in a sort of a high intensive planting pattern. I've hedged. We have, as you can see by the where the branches are leaning to the north, we're in an area of heavy southeasters, and I've elected to plant in a hedge manner. My trees, as you can see, are about 2 meters apart, and they kind of all lean on each other. Yeah, I've got two Jack Russells who spend their whole day with their heads underground, looking for moles, mice, anything. Yeah, okay, you'll probably see them often in the videos. But I've got 6 rows in this little block of Frantoio. I harvested 4 of these rows, and I got about 600 kilograms from the four rows. And then lockdown arrived on that Thursday, and I elected to not go through the process of applying for a license to carry on farming and stuff like that. I just decided that I would process all the rest of my olives into table olives and basically sacrifice these Frantoios because they really not table olive quality at all. So this is a Manzanilla olive. As you can see, in my grove they bear quite prolifically, and they ripen here up the west coast. They ripen at various stages. I've already pre-picked this one for all the ripe ones, because if you don't pick the very ripe ones, they go a little soft. So you can see here, completely green, some half ripes, and maybe some ripe ones, or getting closer to being ripe over there and here. But as I said, I've already picked the ones that are completely ripe and black. A really good grower in this climate, and Frantoio. The majority of my olives are missions, and although they grow well, they very inclined to alternate cropping here. This year I have about, I reckon, 40% of my trees are taking a gap year. So here we are at a completely unharvested Manzanilla. You can see what I was talking about when I said on my on my estate, my manzanillas ripen quite differently, in that I have ripe, half ripes, greens, so you can almost choose what you want to harvest and extend your harvest period. If you're doing table olives, you could do the whole green olive, the sort of firmer, riper olives, and also when it comes to harvest time, if you're harvesting for oil, you've got a nice blend of green, half ripes and ripes. You can see Manzanilla, my characteristics is quite a long stalk that the olive is on. You can see here the stalk is quite long, and they are very round, apple shaped. As you can see there, you can see the length of the stalk. Here's a good example of there we go. Too many leaves in the way, but there's a nice long stalk. Let me just pick the whole thing off and show you. There we go. There we go. Typical Manzanilla on my estate, a ripe one. So when it comes time to harvest, I do all hand harvesting, pick by hand, grab it by the stalk and pinch it like that, and yeah, bag it. As you can see, I do a drip irrigation. I use Netafim drip irrigation. I have a combination, mine are all 2 liters per hour, and I have a combination of 300 and 400 mil centers. That's 300 millimeters or 400 centers at 2 liters an hour. As you can see again, the trees are planted about 2 meters apart. And 5-meter rows. I started off at 3x5s, and due to circumstances and a farmer's goats coming in, I had to replant, and I replanted it. Some are 1.5 and some are 2, but 5-meter rows. You can see I'm sort of at the top end. There's a road in the center, and then I've got another block down there. There are about 40 trees on the one side of the road and 40 trees on the other side of the road. My central road that runs down, right down my property. I'll just go down and I'll show that to you now. That's my neighbor over there. We are on 2 hectare small holdings, and my small holding is 2.05 hectares, and I've planted all my olives in the top 1 hectare. When I say the top, I have a slight slope to my property, and it's the top back end of the property where I planted my trees. And you can see this is the road I was talking about. It runs down the center of my property, and there my buildings. I have buildings on the right and on the left, and the road that runs down to the road. So the property is about 205 meters long and 100 meters wide. So this is the block of Frantoio right in front of my cottage. This is sort of, I've got a small row of citrus, and these are the 4 rows that I harvested this year. It's row 1, row 2, row 3 and row 4. As I said, we took about 600 kilograms to the press in Darling, and due to the COVID lockdown, I haven't been to go and collect the oil yet. I'll take you to, I've got another 2 rows. You can see I have this row over here, and this row over here that I still have to harvest. I'm probably not going to harvest it because there's not much you can do with Frantoio as far as table olives go. You can see they're a relatively small olive, sort of very ovoid Italian olive. I'm not going to tell you the characteristics of it. You can just look that up on the website. Pretty ripe at this stage. In comparison to my thumbnail, you can see the size of my Frantoios. As I said, grows really well up the west coast here in near Cape Town in South Africa, and nice vigorous grow. Takes the wind very well. As I said, we have summer southerly winds that blow really hard, and as I mentioned before, the main reason for me hedging my trees so they can offer protection to each other. You can see had a nice crop. Most of the trees are fruited, and had a nice fruit set. Trees planted about 2 meters apart, 5-meter rows. Sort of more green Frantoios, yeah. Right, we're at some of my mission trees. So I've interplanted for cross-pollination Frantoio and Manzanilla between the missions, but we're at a mission, some mission trees here. You can see a much more uniform ripening of the fruit. So picking for table olives is quite a slow process. It's picking each one individually. Just grab it, pinch it off, pinch it off, pinch it off, and that's how you ensure that you don't bruise the fruit, and at the same time you can choose what you're going to process for the table olives. Normally there's a bit of damage that happens with birds, and here's one. You can see a bird had a peck at it. Not a terribly good example, but I could find some. Then you just won't pick those, you just leave them or just drop them to the ground to discourage the birds. Birds are a real big problem here. Common starling, big waster of fruit. Nice ripe olives for processing into table olives. We'll go through that process. It is my aim to keep this video vlog going right through the process of harvesting, curing, bottling, and even taking them to market.